Hello, everyone. My name is Drew. You're you, and this is my buddy Justus. And I have not actually said her name aloud ever because it's just been a read thing and a typed thing. So it is just Justus, right?
Yes,
You don't,
absolutely. It's just
you don't,
justice.
you don't do anything to the really emphasize the us, not the is.
No, actually, sometimes people call me Justus, but we're not going to go there.
Whoa, hold on. Do we need to go there though? Because
No, it's more of a joke because my family's Hispanic and the J's and the H's.
oh wow. Interesting. I was just watching Gravity Falls with my son recently, and there's a character named Seuss, and I always thought it was Zeus, but it's just Soos. And I'm like, okay, cool, cool. But then even further, I realized his name is actually Jesus, and he goes by Seuss. I'm like, whoa, that's like now he's got three names I did not know of. So interesting. Okay. Well, that is
I
very
love
cool.
Gravity Falls.
Do
My
you?
ringtone is actually the opening scene of Gravity Falls.
No way.
And Seuss is so funny. Everything is Seuss
Oh,
coded to me. It's just like, hey, you guys, I got these nachos from the Sam's Club.
oh, come on, dudes. Yeah, he's fantastic. I was just my son had to get some blood work done yesterday, and my solution to his panic was to find a reel of, Seuss wisdom and play that for
Oh my
him
God.
to kind of like hopefully chill him out a little bit. But yeah, so you like Gravity Falls and Steven Universe. You'd love my son.
Yes.
Y'all could talk about stuff all day long. That's fantastic.
Oh
Oh,
God,
that's
I'm a 12-year-old
marvelous.
boy.
No, no, you're fine. You're great. I love it. So everybody, this is my second attempt, my first one that you're going to see in finally meeting a friend of mine whom I've known for years, but haven't actually had the chance to verbally or visually interact with. Justice and I have been talking on Instagram since, 2022 at least, and even before that via YouTube comments and stuff like that. And I like to think we're buds, but it is not
Yeah.
ever transcended, short DMs. So I've tried to do this once before with my friend Nicholas, and I was just going over with Justice how paranoid I am that we're going to actually have this recording and have the audio work because after an hour of chatting with Nicholas, his audio did not record at all. So we lost
No.
everything. Yes, so
So
I couldn't.
sad.
I know, I couldn't publish anything, but this is gonna work. So you're gonna be the inaugural, like, friend I've never met sort of video. So
Yes,
I'm
I
very
get to be the
excited.
breakout.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm super jazzed about it. Yeah, hello for the first time, kinda.
Hello for the first time. It feels like a very parasocial friendship just because we've never like actually talked like this, but
Yeah,
absolutely I feel like you're my friend. I told all of the people at work, I was like, I get to video chat with my friend
yeah.
Drew.
I said the same thing to Shannon. I was like, I'm just gonna chat with my buddy Justice. When I said that, I'm like, Justice. I've said her name out loud with my mouth. That's and it's so weird though because like I feel like we're buds and it's just I mean that's the internet I guess for you.
Yeah.
It can create these sorts of things. But yeah, I don't know, it's weird and not weird at the same time. I mean, I've got a good handful of buddies in your realm and I'm like, let me I have a platform. Let me reach out and actually connect with these folks whom I care for deeply. So here you are. Yay.
I think it's very fortunate that we have actual names as our usernames rather than like whenever I talk to other people about other friends, I'm just like, oh wait, this is their gamer tag. I don't actually know their government name, my bad.
That's happened to me at pen shows so many times where I've, talked to somebody leading up to an event, seen them at the event, not known that they were that person, and then later they're like, "Hey, so glad that, thanks for, spending some time with me." I'm like, "Oh, you're that." And if I had known though, our conversation would have been totally different. I would have been like, "Hey, how'd that thing go that you were just telling me about?" But I didn't know you were, Laser Beam 5000 on Instagram. I don't know. So yeah, that's interesting. So I've got just a plethora of things I would love to chat with you about. But I first just need to say that obviously Justice and I first, started chatting about fountain pens, but have since unified on a number of different topics, including, our appreciation and respect for Disney World, Waffle House, and our mutual ownership of the same exact refrigerated pizza keeper that is collapsible and magnificent. So, but So yeah, my goal with these videos are just to kind of like connect and showcase some of the interesting, delightful people that I've had the chance to know since being in somewhat of a public setting. But first and foremost, I wanted to chat about your Instagram presence because it is so very entertaining, so very like just it delights me because you're so positive and so vulnerable in a lot of ways. You are very clearly um interested and clever with your style of clothing, but you're not one of those like for as interested and I guess creative as you are with your style, you're not.
Vapid.
Yeah, well, yeah, you don't like only post the things that like, oh yeah, this totally works. You're sometimes like, well, here's a thing. Like, and I find that like is incredibly refreshing on social media, but also like how does one get there? Because I think that it's just so tempting to, if you care so much about something like style, for example, you get in your head so much about how you want the style to be, you get really particular about it, and then you want to present yourself as someone who has their shit together for lack of a better term. Like, but you just seem to cast a wide net and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. It might work. It doesn't. Actually, no, it doesn't. But here it is anyway. Like, how do you mentally get there?
There's a few methodologies to it, I suppose, and I might be referring to this. I took notes. But I think a lot of it is mainly two trains of thought. The first one is something that I credit to Jenna Marbles in the good enough gene. I have enough of the good enough gene to just post things and stop caring.
Shannon has mentioned Jenna Marbles to me, or she did years ago. I remember she was, following her on Twitter a while ago, but I've heard of her. But what is the good enough gene, like succinctly put?
Um, in my mind, that is kind of the opposite of perfectionism. Like, as soon as it's good enough to be done, I would love to just be done thinking about it and move on. And I think part of that is also like ADHD, because I want to just touch this, finish it, go, touch this, finish it, go. And so even if it's not perfect, who cares? I'm done thinking about it. I'm not going to mess with this anymore.
That's marvelous. I've
And
I've
then
often credited my ADHD for not obsessing about like things like death or mortality. Like I would eat my own brain with my thoughts if I could focus on them long enough. But I can't. So it's
mhm.
kind of like, oh God, what's gonna happen? What is nothingness? Oh my God. And then I'm like, hey, squirrel. Whoop.
It's like internal protection.
It kind of is.
And then another part of it, this is probably going to go into something I talk about a little bit later, but with my therapy, I found it easier to go back to like an original setting of myself. I think back to like teenage Justice, and teenage Justice was like a full-on punk, didn't care, did what she wanted, and like had no second thoughts about it. And as adulthood has settled in, that sense of doubt and anxiety settled in. And so part of like moving forward and recovering for me is trying to go back to that original setting before I allowed myself to be influenced and just not caring. Because ultimately, this is going to sound really stupid, but follow me for a second. But talking about like ego death and everyone is just like one speck on the earth, nothing I'm doing is hurting anyone. It ultimately doesn't matter. So who cares? I'm posting and I'm moving on because my social media presence means nothing ultimately in the face of the world.
That is, I mean, it sounds like a simple concept to wrap your head around, but it's impossible for some folks to do.
And so if it makes me happy in the moment, it's kind of like a online scrapbook because I'm a very visual person. I'll just post it and go and not think about it. And then I can have all of my going back a year and get to see, oh, this is what I did.
I love that. When I go back and it's a tough thing to go back and see yourself either wearing something that you'd be like, oh my God, I would never do that again, or saying something that you're just like, oh, it hurts your teeth to even hear yourself say something like that. But at the same time, if you're better and you're more aware, then that's a good thing. So like if you're not looking back and cringing at yourself from 10 years ago, then you're not improving, right?
Hmm. And another thing that Danny, my husband, and I say a lot is to be cringe is to be free. And something that I have always believed in, which kind of goes into my tattoo mentality too, because a lot of people are like, oh, I can never commit to something enough to get a tattoo. I'm just like, well, I believed it so strongly then. And I believe in myself to know that it's not something that I'll disagree with like vehemently in a way that actually matters 5 years from now. So who cares? I liked it then. That's who I was at the time.
I will admit, I have Shannon wanted a tattoo for so long, and I for so long was like, because she's like, I don't know, I just want a tattoo. I'm like, honey, you know, no, it needs to have meaning. It's going to be on you forever. You need to make sure that it's something you will love forever. If you just get one, just kind of haphazardly, it's going to look, oh, well, that was very 2003, you know. And in my mind, that's like not okay. But 100% what you're saying is absolutely true. Where like, okay, yeah, well, maybe I wouldn't get this tattoo right now, but you are your stories, you are your ups and your downs. It's all part of the same picture, and it's always worth celebrating. And that is a again, that's a very mentally healthy outlook. Like I you are very much an inspiration in that, and just kind of like if you could take just a little bit of the work that you've done in order to get to this mental place, Justice, and give it to just a little nugget, just a little sprinkling all over the world, the planet would be so different and so much better, honestly.
Just little weirdos everywhere being their weird little selves.
Yeah, just a little bit of weird. But no, it's a very mentally healthy thing, and it also makes me think of because you journal as well
Yes.
on Instagram again with the planning community. There is a certain expectation if you're going to post your planner online. Like there are so many planner pics up there on the Instagrams that are seemingly flawless, like these just immaculately arranged settings, and so much time and effort put into these things. And I think you just posted one recently. They're just like, well, here's this thing. It's kind of messy, but this is what I got. And for someone who does care a lot, someone who does, plan and put the effort in there, the kind of, establishing that kind of freedom to put up something that like you're like, this is, I guess, good enough, right? Like I don't know.
I think a lot of people in many phases of life, not even just journaling, this can apply everywhere, get really bogged down into the details and perfectionism when in reality we are all moving forward, and consistency and doing everything a little bit every day is much more important than whether one specific project is important. So whether it be keeping a positive mindset, moving your body, eating healthy, doing something you want to do like journaling or learning a language, even if you put in like 1% effort a day, it's much better than skipping a day entirely.
I could not agree more. That's a huge thing. And like, yeah, like you said, moving your body, that's a big one too, because so many of us are like, oh my God, I don't exercise enough. I don't go to the gym. But there are some days where I feel like, because I've joked like, Drew, you're so scrawny. Like, how can you feel fat? I'm like, I feel like Jabba the Hutt shoved into C-3PO's body. It's not,
Oh my
it doesn't,
God.
it doesn't, it does you just feel like sluggish and nasty because that you have just had made terrible life decisions recently. But if I'll just hop on the VR and I'll do some Beat Saber until I sweat and realize how out of shape I am, I end the day in a much more positive space because like I
Hmm.
did something that made me tired.
Around the time I started doing a new therapy treatment that I started, I also started like forcing myself to work out every single day after therapy to Pavlov myself into like, oh, I'm happy and I'm associating this workout, which is also increasing my endorphins to make me happy with this. So I like forced them to be paired together to like ultimately suck at first, but really vamp up and improve my happiness.
How are you so self-aware? This is crazy.
There's probably an actual scientific thought behind it, but the way that I think that it is and the way it goes is that whenever you have a rough childhood, you really need a sense of safety. And a lot of the way that that roots into people is information, because a lot of times information equates to safety in the mind. But actually applying that information to reality is where it's really hard.
Oh, you're doing it though. Like you really do it. Like you're like two steps ahead of yourself. I'm just really impressed by that, Justin. I think that is so super cool. You seem to just not only have a good sense of self, but you seem to really value the journey and the constant, uh, I guess, adventure on putting together your mental puzzle, which we all have, but it's a lot of work, and it's scary, and it's exhausting, and right now, even like with just kind of the way the world is, choosing to say, I'm going to continue on that journey. I'm going to continue digging and digging. And as exhausting as it is, I know that the payoff is going to be worth it. But it's hard to make that decision when you feel like the rest of the world is taking so much of your emotional energy, still being able to summon up enough of that energy to continue to work on yourself. Like, whew.
It's punk rock. The man wants to keep us tired and down.
I love it. Yes. Oh, that's brilliant. Speaking of punk, we've talked about this too. You can so easily flip-flop between floral, pink on pink, and just black on black on black on black. And you're not the only one that does this. Like, I've seen this vibe and I love the vibe. But what do you like? What do you think it is about the goth aesthetic that somehow folds space time and ties itself so steadfastly to the complete, well, what seems to be the complete polar opposite aesthetic?
This could be erroneous assumptions on my part, but based on anecdotal evidence, talking to other people, based on other people that kind of dress like I do, just like a lot of dark, 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 but love pink and sparkles and unicorns and ponies.
Yes.
There is a commonality in that a lot of us have to be like mature children and don't really get to enjoy girlhood. And then once we become an adult and feel safety, we're like, oh, now I get to go back to that and feel the girlhood that I never really got.
Oh.
But I don't really identify with that feeling because I never grew up like dressed in the pink, the unicorns, the ponies, but I always wanted it.
Interesting. So what do you think stopped you from going pink unicorn ponies at an early age?
That I think depends on a lot of people, but I think that I just had to be like very mature and very aware very early so I could just like get shit done. Like in my early upbringing, my father was a little bit absent and my mother was in the military, and so we were kind of just having to like care for ourselves very early. So like from 8 years old and beyond, I was kind of just like left alone making my own meals, going to school, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that I didn't really have the downtime mentally to be like, oh yeah, let's play with action figures and ponies. I was like, I need to figure out what I'm having for dinner, and I'm 8.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that is rough. I'm so glad that you're retroactively filling that void though. I think that I the more I live, the more, and I've always been this way. When I'm interested in something, I never really stop being interested in it. I kind of just retain my hobbies and interests. They might lay dormant for a little while,
but they come back.
Yeah, exactly. So the one thing that I would have told you last year I actually did lose interest in was professional wrestling. But then like, nah, that came back, like as silly as it is. So like it all comes back. I never truly, I mean, I'm wearing a Brave Star shirt. This thing ran for, one season in 88 or something like that. So yeah, and I think that's really healthy. I do, because in my opinion, the more things that you have, the more avenues you have saying, if I pursue this avenue, there's joy at the end of it. If I pursue this avenue, there is joy at the end of it. If you've got 100 different avenues, then you have more opportunities to find joy. And a lot of the times, a lot of these avenues are going to be shut to you. So the more you open up, the better, because I think a lot of people, like, they might have only like one or two. And if those two avenues are kind of, closed for, construction or something like that, they don't have anything. So I think that going like retroactively pursuing that joy is actually really healthy and very cool.
And I think that a lot of people really need to get into the hobbies that they feel interest in, because there's so many people that I talk to, even in the pen world, that are like, I don't know if I want to get into that because my friend is really into it and I don't want to steal their thing and be like a poser or anything. Or like with video games, a lot of my girlfriends are like, well, I haven't really played video games. I don't want to like jump into that world and don't really know how to. And I'm just like, just do it, just start. Because I think a lot of people get really bogged down in like the endless scrolling the TV when really they just need to get a hobby.
Yeah. Hobbies are super meaningful, and so many people think that because they generally we do we're exposed to hobbies because we see somebody else doing a hobby.
Hmm.
So naturally, we use that example as what the hobby should look like or what the hobby does look like. But in reality, it's whatever you make it look like. And I think that stops a lot of people because if you see, oh, crocheting, that looks really awesome. Oh my God, I could never do that. Like, hang on. That's not about that. It's about you and what you take out of the hobby. And so, like you take pens, for example. So many people are like, oh, I couldn't write with a fountain pen. My handwriting looks terrible. Oh, hush, hush. Grab a pen, have some fun. Video games too. Like, oh, I haven't played a video game in so long. At this point, there is something for everybody. Everybody. And yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, you just got to start. I love that mentality for sure.
And with perfectionism and social media algorithms, like you had mentioned, a lot of people will only post the perfect thing. And then a lot of people who aren't in the hobby yet, they don't understand what it looks like in reality. So they're just basing themselves off of these people that have been in it for 10 years and already figured it out.
Yeah, and that's another thing I love about your social media is that you don't only post the perfect stuff. Like you try. So I don't think I've ever seen you wear the same thing twice. I'm sure you have, but I haven't seen it. But you're sometimes just like, well, here's this thing. I don't know. My favorite one was when you said we talked about this online. You said like, did you look cute, but then I got nerfed by the people wanting to keep the AC too high. And you had to like put on a jacket or something. So you said your outfit got nerfed. So no, that cracked me up. But as someone who has a wife who just walks into the closet and gets overwhelmed and terrified, and someone who has a son who's about to go into middle school, and I'm just terrified that he's going to have peer pressure get to him and he's going to lose his sense of individuality. You seem to have that on lock. Like you can experiment with style. You definitely have a amazing sense of individuality. Like what would you say to somebody to help them achieve that or help them at least get on the right path to that?
It involves a little bit of negativity, I'll be real. But
Really?
it does because like it's positive, but it is negative just a little bit.
Hmm.
It kind of goes back to that ego death thing where it's just like it literally doesn't matter. Just do what you want and wear what you want because in terms of like with Archer in school, for example, with my school, I didn't like anyone there. And so it was very easy for me to just do what I wanted because I was like, I'm not seeing any of these people ever again after this 4 years ends. So honestly, who cares?
I mean, yeah, that's a fact. But when I was in middle school, I didn't. Someone could have told me that, and I don't know if I would have been able to really accept that as fact because it seemed like it was my whole world at the time. And granted, I did not dress trendy either. I was wearing Boba Fett shirts when they would get your butt kicked, but I was
With the
obsessed
swishy
with.
pants?
No, I did not do swishy pants.
Okay.
That was definitely a thing. That was my brother did the swishy pants. I was just wearing nerdy shirts. I wore a lot of pro wrestling t-shirts, a lot of Star Wars shirts, and this is before you could just walk into a Target and buy Star Wars shirts. Like you'd
Hmm.
get made fun of, and I did. But I also thought a pair of Airwalks would save my social life, and so I did subscribe to that enough. But yeah, well, that's cool. So just basically say, hey, you don't matter, right?
Kind of, yeah, because think about it. If you were to go back to like middle school Drew Brain, think about the person that you would want the least to hear a bad comment from. Think about that. And then think about you now and kind of fast forward and be like, do they matter? Does that really matter? Do I care what they think at all? Are they someone that has an opinion that is valuable, period? Now.
No, and I will say Archer is 100% more mentally healthy at his age than I was at his age. So
Good. It means you're
I,
doing great.
he's gonna be okay. I really do think so. But still, like you can't help but put yourself in that position. You're like, oh gosh. But yeah. Well, what about like as an adult woman? How would you recommend somebody start to not give a shit?
I think that everyone has things that they are interested in and drawn to, whether they interact with those things or not. And I think just doing a leap of faith with yourself and trying something out, whether you think it's within your comfort zone or not, or within your identity or not, is worth doing. I also think that identity is something that people struggle with a lot, and it's honestly very loose. I think people get stuck in that. We're all changing as time passes, and so you're never going to be the same exact version of yourself that you're picturing in your head. So find what you think you want to do and just try it. And in terms of like the things holding you back, because a lot of people are too worried about like how they're going to be seen, or like a friend of mine and I were talking about dancing the other day, and we are like, oh, I really want to dance, but like I've never done that before, so I don't have any of the muscle memory. I probably look real gawky. And it's just like, again, who cares? Because if you think about something that you are good at, think about that phase of your life and the new people joining into it right now and how you look at them, because in your mind you're worried that they're going to be judging you and like kick you out. But whenever you are the more learned person and someone else is trying to learn, I guarantee you're probably going to want to try and help them. You're like, oh, I can tell you're new, girl. Let's get this going. Let's try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a tough one. Because there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of pressure, but whenever you walk into, or if you see an ad, with somebody who's wearing an outfit, you're like, oh, that looks really cute on her, but it wouldn't look cute on me. That's a tough thing to, again, it's kind of like the hobbies where you see the outfit on the model and then you think that I need to look like that model.
Yeah, that's really hard. And that's definitely something that I struggle with too. Something that helps me reframe whenever I start being like, oh my God, why don't I look like that? I'm just like, there will always be the ripest peach, and there will always be someone who doesn't like peaches, or there will always be something for someone. So even if you are not your own type, you are definitely someone else's type.
I have said those exact words in my life. I have 100% that. I was like, honey, you don't need to be your type. That's what I'm here for. That's
Exactly.
amazing. That's amazing. And that's 100% true. Um, I wanted to ask about just how healthy and how much of like just good buddy vibes I get from just you and your social media interactions with your husband, Danny. I'm like, y'all seem to have similar interests. You just seem to be like pals. And I just really dig that vibe. And I just want to learn more about that.
It's so nice. He and
Or,
I
or am I
talk
am I
all the
totally am I
time.
totally wrong? Do y'all really hate each other? I don't know, maybe.
Oh, actually, it's like a syndrome and Mr. Incredible. Just kidding. But we are very much best friends, and we joke and talk all the time because like every night we just talk before bed and stay up way too late most of the time. And we joke about how whenever we were younger, we like didn't really have a lot of friends, and now that we found each other, we're like best friends and won't shut up.
I
And
love that so much.
we are, even in our social circles in real life, people notice that we are just connected all the time. And we've like worked 3 jobs together where we've like worked at the same company, sometimes the same department, and it's just been fine. And a lot of people are like, I could never work with my spouse. Like that would drive me crazy. And I'm just like, it's the same. We just do the same stuff.
I get that. For whatever reason, the vibe is just immediately evident. I can't put my finger on it, but it's definitely there.
And like we are genuinely into a lot of the same stuff. Like we're into the same type of music. We like dumb media. We play video games together. He used to be real big into powerlifting and stuff, and I wasn't really into that. I was more into like calisthenics and bodybuilding. But even then, it was just like, oh, we're watching a lot of this, or like I'm really into like vegan food and healthy food, and he just watches a lot of like grilling content. So it's a lot of adjacent but similar.
Right. That's really cool. Do you have two separate gaming setups or do you alternate with the same?
So we are in Danny's office right now. This is his streaming setup. He has like a big PC with 3 monitors, and it's crazy. And then in my room functions as the guest room as well. I have my PC and my dual monitor set up with my standing desk. And then downstairs we have our Steam Deck. So if we don't want to be in separate rooms, we can just take turns passing the controller back and forth.
That is couples goals. I love that so much.
And most of the time we end up having like a pillow fort living room. So like almost every evening we just like sit in the living room, watch TV, play games, and then just pass out on the floor or something. And then we wake up around 3 a.m. to go to big bed.
That is amazing. I love that so much.
So it's like a sleepover every night.
That I mean, if you could have described your, you know, your end game relationship, which is, what this sounds like it is, to like 15-year-old Justice, like, and you were to describe this, like, how amazing.
That's exactly what I would have wanted because if you're into journaling, you can actually go back to your thoughts at the time. And I've been journaling since I was 15. And along those lines, I was just like, I just really want a best friend that I can be intimate with. And that's what I got.
That is marvelous. How long have you known each other?
We have been together for 9 years, going on 10 years now. And it's actually a very interesting story because we met on Tinder and he had no intentions of being in a relationship. But within 3 months, we had moved in.
I mean, that's not too weird. That's not too weird. Shannon and I were just phone buddies for years. Like, I was dating somebody, she was dating somebody. I broke up, she broke up. We stayed friends. She dated another guy, broke up with him. We just stayed friends, phone call, instant messenger, instant messenger. And then cumulatively, we probably spent maybe a week's worth of time together before we actually moved in with each other. Like,
Mhm.
it was not a lot, but we had logged all those hours of getting to know each other. But like, in person, not a lot of time at all, but it worked.
And like whenever we had first started dating as well, it was long distance. And so
Yep.
we were 2 hours away. And so every single weekend we would commit time to like see who was driving to each other. And eventually it was just like, how about we just transfer jobs and I just move in?
So who transferred to who?
So he transferred to me because I had moved to the town that we were in for college.
Oh, okay.
And he had worked for a larger company where it was easy to transfer to any town basically. And so we did it that way.
Nice. Speaking of companies, you had told me, I wrote this down because I was like, what are something we've talked about in our DMs that I find curious? And the dumbest things popped into my head, like, oh, what the heck is that? So this is stupid, inconsequential, I know. What is a corporate bakery? I don't know what that is.
So the way that I believe that I was referring to it in those conversations is whenever I worked for like a grocery store bakery. Does that sound right? And with
Oh,
that,
okay.
most of the grocery store bakeries, for those that don't know, don't actually bake shit. It
Right.
just kind of comes frozen. And so we get all of these deliveries and we have to throw all of these freight trucks for all of the frozen baked goods that come in that we kind of just like slap a label on and throw in front. And even where it's like, oh, we make our own cakes. Girl, that cake comes pre-baked. I just put the icing on it.
Okay, gotcha. I'm like, corporate, it's like, do you bake for corporate events or do you work for a corporation and within that corporation they have a bakery? I'm like, okay, gotcha. Okay.
As someone who loves baking, I view corporate bakery as just like, boo, because I want everything made fresh. I want to have a cake that I know that you made, not that someone else
Right.
over there made.
That's awesome. What was the most recent thing you baked that you were pretty jazzed about?
So I'm actually in the middle of making it now. I have a coworker with a birthday party next week. And so she is a new coworker and she hasn't gotten to have my homemade birthday cakes yet. So I have to actually phone it in and do one. So she is very much like tropical luau, like let's have a marg in the backyard type of personality. And so I'm making her this little birthday cake that looks like a backyard pool, like a raised ground pool. And then I'm hollowing out the top a little bit to put blue jello. So it's like actually like a pool.
Okay, so A, that sounds amazing. B, you have a very interesting inflection when you say pool.
Damn it. It's the Florida, I think.
Interesting. I love it. Because we've talked about pools. I asked you if it's normal to throw furniture into pools when there's a hurricane approaching. Because that's what my wife did. She lived in Tampa, and back before we were dating, she'd be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I'm throwing lawn chair, I'm throwing pool furniture into the pool because the hurricane's coming." I'm like, okay.
Which that very well could happen. It's not something I'm super used to.
I don't know
We've
if it's
always
a
just
thing because
brought it
like
inside.
yeah, well also like it's screened in. Like everybody in Florida has these screened in pool areas, right? Like everybody.
Mhm.
It's the same room everywhere. Like does wind really do damage to things inside the screen?
Yes, 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 yes. So that's something you have to be wary of.
Does
If
it
it's like
destroy the screen?
If it's like hurricane level winds, yes. If it's just like a normal storm, no. But
But it
if
can
it's
still
hurricane,
it can still push things around in the screened area.
yes, and it's
Huh.
not necessarily the thought of the wind blowing on the screen itself, but thinking about the other things around it as well. Because, like, my backyard has a lot of trees. And so, thinking about how far those branches that don't touch it will start slapping into the side of the screen. And then
Wow.
that
Okay.
could cause movement. Or if you don't put away the furniture, a lot of times it's like the wire and the wicker furniture. It could catch air, then slap into the screen and bust the screen open.
There are a lot of considerations.
Yes, and so whenever it's
Huh.
a big storm, you have to really weatherproof outside.
I
And
guess so.
my husband, he works in property management. Something that's quite normal whenever it's hurricane season is like, yes, we're bringing in all of the furniture, but also like we're boarding up your windows. Like we're trying to get our maintenance guys with hammers and nails to board your windows.
Nice. Oh my God. It's like the Australia of America down there.
Because if you don't have hurricane shutters or the funds for hurricane shutters, you just got to figure it out.
Oh my God. Have you ever thought about not living in that area?
Yes, that's the goal. Eventually. So we're in a honestly a very nice house in a very nice town right now, but we would love to just kind of get our nest egg and then dip out and go to like a big city for 3 months and then bug out to the middle of nowhere and make a commune and invite our friends and they can build their own houses on the commune.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like
Middle
not
of
drink the Kool-Aid, but like
right, no,
we're
yeah, no.
participating a little bit less in capitalism by doing our farming and stuff.
Okay. That sounds cool. Like you talking about like middle of America, middle of nowhere?
Middle of America, middle of nowhere. We kind of talk about like Colorado, Texas, maybe like in Oregon at some point.
Nice. That could work. But that sounds
Just
like
want a lot
fun.
of land.
That sounds like fun. So I wanted to ask you a question because we talked about this after I had had a conversation with Mr. Hemingway Jones. What is something trashy that you really like? Because you said you because we were talking about, he's there with his, expensive jackets and sweaters, and I asked him about something, trashy he enjoyed. And yeah, I mean, obviously we've talked about Waffle House, so I know you're cool with that. Yeah, something super trashy that you will always be for.
I think that what I'm really into right now that's definitely trashy that I'll always be into is like the early 2000s new metal where it's like
Oh,
Fred Durst, chocolate
okay.
starfish.
You all right? You made a Limp Bizkit reference not too long ago in the pool. I'm like, oh my God, she really went with Roland.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And then
That
like
is
the blue butterfly tramp stamp, the little like stars behind the ear. I love that stuff. Like
that
I
is
see a diva
amazing.
in the gas station and she has some faded ass hot pink cheetah print anywhere. I'm just like, yes, I know that you were in it.
Oh my God, that is so funny. I never really jumped all up into the Limp Bizkit and the Corn, but my little brother did. I was more of the Rob Zombie kid.
Hmm.
I did have an I did have a couple ICP albums, which there was a girl that I was trying to impress, honestly, that was into that, and I tried, and oh man. But
Hmm.
no, I wore my Rob Zombie CD out. There was a line in my CD where Meet the Creeper and Super Beast were. But yeah, he definitely went through a Limp Bizkit phase, and that is a fantastic answer. That is a fantastic answer.
I'm really into that right now. And I'm also really into like, as someone, by the way, to preface this, I've never been to a club, period.
Yeah,
I
neither
love
have
like trashy rave music. And so like Searle and Yost, they're like music artists that I really like right now, but they're objectively not good cultured music, but I love it.
That's fine. No, I love, like, honestly, you can apply the same thing to Hamburger Helper. Like, yeah, it's crap, but it's delicious. I don't even care.
I want the disgusting cheese pizza from like a extremely goofy movie where you pick up the cheese and it just like pulls off. Like I want that level of not good.
Oh yeah, God. We're gonna be going to Disney here pretty soon in September, and they sell, I think, in the parks the Lester's possum hat like that you can get to, and it's gonna be hot as hell there. But there's a part of me that's gonna be like, it's gonna be hard not to buy that Goofy movie possum hat.
And then get a family picture Polaroid.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that. Um, so oh wait, I've seen Limp Bizkit live.
Are you
I
serious?
have. I did. I saw Metallica in 2003 and they were doing their summer sanitarium tour. So I was there to see Metallica, but it just so happened that a couple of the bands in your realm that you're discussing were also in attendance. This was in DC at FedEx Field. So it was Metallica,
Okay.
Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, uh, Deftones, and Mudvayne.
Okay. I
Yeah,
like all of
yeah.
them. Didn't the Deftones just like recently release a new album
I
or
don't
something
know.
too?
I know nothing about Deftones. I just know they
Okay.
were there. They went on first, I think, or maybe Mudvayne did, but it was hot. It was rainy at the same time. It was disgusting. Just an absolute miserable experience. And I feel like most of what I inhaled was like maybe 50% oxygen and then 50% like evaporated beer and piss. It was just
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah, yeah.
awful, awful. Oh, and sweat, maybe,
And don't
2020. I
forget
don't
the
know.
smog from all the smoke.
Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. Ugh. Anyway,
We
um,
went to, oh, sorry.
no, we went where?
Last year we went to Knotfest, which is like the Slipknot festival in Iowa, and that was like my first festival that I had been to. And I've always viewed myself as someone that's like, I don't really think I'd have a lot of fun at a festival that seems like a lot going on, and it totally was. It was just like lines everywhere, so hot. It just smelled like vape, and like I totally had fun watching the show, but I had to like take a step aside during the set and like sit in the middle of the field and cry for a second because I was like, it's just so much.
It is. It was so much. If I'm lucky that I'm 6 feet tall. I could lift up my head and just kind of take in some oxygen from a level above, just kind of gasping for some freshness amidst the sea of human garbage and just but yeah, I was kind of like my toward the end of my concert going years. I was like, you know what, I think I'm good now. I think I'm good.
Like, I like a concert, like a good 2, 3 hour concert, but an all day thing, that's just so much.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. Um, so I wanted to we'll finish off in a little bit real quick, but I wanted
Okay.
to just ask, we've talked about Disney a good amount. Do you have a favorite Disney movie?
Oh man, that's really hard. I really like cartoons. I really like Disney movies, and like half of my speaking is just movie references in real life.
I
So
get
that's
it.
really hard.
So here you go. Give me what you think is the best Disney animated movie and what is your personal favorite, because mine, I will say that I do think that The Lion King is the best one, but my
Okay.
my personal favorite is Robin Hood.
I think by best, I'm going to view that word in terms of like the impact that it could have on a child watching it new and forming those memories.
Oh, well,
And
in
I,
that case, Inside Out.
oh gosh, yes, that's so good. I was thinking Coco. I feel like if I were to watch Coco
Oh,
with like a fresh
interesting.
brain, it'd be so good.
Oh, wow. That's a very fascinating one because like Robin Hood, it is not looked upon as a successful film.
Hmm. But something that not many people know as well is in China, they didn't really plan for Coco to release in China because there's a lot of rules about death portrayal on screens and things.
No ghosts.
Yes, but even after they had watched it, because Disney submitted it anyways, just expecting it to be rejected, the people that review movies in China were like, actually, this is so deeply touching in terms of how you are viewing and representing your ancestors and your family that we view this as overall so good that we can't remove it from our country.
Oh, I thought it didn't get released in China.
We can fact check me later, but I thought
Oh
that
no,
it
that's
did.
awesome. That's fantastic. Oh, good. Good for them.
And that was one of
Marvelous.
those movies. I don't go to the movies very often. Danny and I just aren't super into being in a room trapped with a ton of people.
Yeah.
But we went and saw Coco, and whenever it showed the bridge of the marigolds, I just started crying. It was so powerful.
Now, did you have any of I not I'm how plugged into that heritage are you?
So we never set up anything like that in our households, but I have to give background knowledge because otherwise it gets really convoluted. So, in terms of my family being raised, things like that, my mother was adopted. And so, a lot of the blood heritage stuff I have from her, we don't really do culturally, but her mother was Japanese. And whenever her mother passed, that was one of my early memories because I was very young. And we set up like an altar for her. We had her picture up every single day. We would cook fresh rice, we would light incense, and we would lay out flowers.
Every
And that
day.
every day. And so I have very distinct memories of after my grandma passed, the house always smelled like fresh rice and flowers for like several weeks.
Oh, wow.
And we kept her urn and her picture and the flowers and the rice and the incense. And it felt like forever, but you know how time passes when you're a kid. And
Yeah.
so we didn't do anything on the Hispanic side of my family in terms of past relatives, but it really took me back to that I did with my grandma.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very similar, very similar practice, just in, kind of that, ancestral
Mhm.
appreciation and honoring. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So
And
no
now
wonder it hit hard.
my aunties, they are more connected. I know that my aunt Amanda, she won't mind me talking about it because she's very public with her grief. But every year for Dia de los Muertos, she'll put out pictures of her son. She'll put out pictures of my dad. She'll put out pictures of one of her past husbands, and she'll put out the ofrenda. That's nothing that I grew up with, but it's something that she does.
Well, you're still connected to it in a way
Hmm.
that a movie like Coco would most definitely resonate with you stronger than someone who did not
Yes.
have an auntie with an ofrenda.
And so I
Auntie.
think that that's probably like the best. But in
Yeah.
terms of like my favorite, I like a lot of the really dumb throwaway movies. And so I feel like at this absolute moment, I'm probably going to disagree with myself in 20 minutes, but I want to say it's like the Aristocats.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not the dumbest throwaway Disney movie. That like it could
Yeah.
have been much worse.
It's just like we're kittens and we're playing jazz.
Yes, 100%. And that was another one. That was another one that I think either had reused animation or gave used animation to
Hmm.
another movie. Like around that time, they
I
were
think it was The Lady and the Tramp.
that
I
might
think
have
that
been
there was
it.
definitely a few reused character models.
Yeah, that might have been it. Yeah, Disney was kind of phoning it in and around that time.
Mhm.
That's
Uh,
okay. And I would say that, like, in my opinion, the like penultimate, not the penultimate, the ultimate Disney movie is Beauty and the Beast. Because while I think that Aladdin and Lion King are like objectively better, but
mhm.
that one I think just has it all. Like I put that at the top of the Disney hierarchy because it has it everything. It's got the Enchanted Castle. You've got, a princess,
It's
and you've
got the
got
vibes, and
it's
those
got the
vibes are
vibe.
repeated everywhere.
Yes, it's got the vibes. Disney, Beauty and the Beast has the vibes, 100%. Absolutely.
And it's kind of like the original that you go to because you see a giant staircase and you're just like, that's the Bell Library. You see a rose and
Hmm.
you're just like, I know that girl.
You see a fountain in a town square. You see a rolling ladder in a library. Like there's so many
You see a
elements.
himbo with dark hair and a red shirt.
He is definitively a himbo. Oh my God, 100%. And also, Gaston's villain song is a little underrated as well. And that's the thing. It's got I think that the ultimate Disney movie has to have a villain song. There are some, you've got, you know, Jafar has a little bit of a reprise. I don't really count that one. Scar's got to be up there as far as great villain songs. Ursula's up there. But Gaston's got a pretty rad villain song.
Yes.
I don't
And
It's not like,
he's a very good goofy villain. Like he's not
yeah.
actually scary, but he's like this is like the real life villain that's just kind of a D-bag.
Well, I mean, he is the villainous interpretation of male fragility, isn't he?
Hmm.
He's a walking
He
representation of
drives a lifted F-150.
yeah, like his own villain is insecurity, really. Like that's the story of Gaston, is that it's basically a story of a man who cannot wrap his head around the fact that, this chick doesn't like him, and he's just like, and how perfect is that? Like that's the villain isn't Gaston, it's male insecurity. That's what everybody's fighting against.
Like, dang.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's brilliant. All right, so I do need to go to watch
Okay.
1990s Ninja Turtles with my son here in the theater in about 30 minutes. But before I do that, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. Is there anything you want to quickly soapbox? Is there anything you just want to be like, hey, everybody, listen to me. I've got something to say.
Yes, I thought really hard about this as well. And as much as I love to do like throwaway stupid things, I think it's very important for me to talk about TMS therapy for those who may not know about it.
Go for it.
It's very important to me in my life right now and has done the most change for my mental health and my well being, I believe. If you are someone that has treatment resistant depression, OCD, CPTSD, addiction issues, anything like that, maybe consider that your brain has dark spots and maybe that it's not just you fighting with yourself and that maybe you do have a little bit of brain damage. Go talk about TMS. It might be entirely covered by your insurance. Try it out.
There we go. Fantastic. I think that that's important. Everybody, has a little bit of thing they would, if given the opportunity, stand up and be like, "Hey, y'all, listen to me. I got a little something. I got a little something
And a
to
lot
get
of
for
people
you."
don't know it exists, period. And it's so helpful to me.
Yeah, I've seen you mention it several times that it's been, just totally a game changer for you. That's
Hmm.
fantastic. And again, like I have to applaud you and I have to just tell you how much I respect you and am inspired by your consistent and remarkable journey toward figuring out yourself because it's very much, the whole like RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else mentality that I just love. And I love it when I see folks really just digging in and saying, I'm going to be the best version of myself so I can be there for the ones who I love. And that's an awesome thing to see. And I really appreciate you being out there and being you.
Well, thank you. I hope that it reaches someone out there and helps anyone.
I'm sure it will. All righty. Well, unfortunately, I gotta say bye, but this has been an absolute delight. And, I would definitely want to chat again. So thank you for being my buddy all these years. And thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for being my buddy as well. You guys have fun watching Ninja Turtles and sashay away.
Love it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.